Welcome, welcome, welcome to On Fire to Inspire. I am your host, Aaliyah, the Purpose Midwife, and I thank you so much for joining us this beautiful Tuesday evening. You could have been doing anything else, but you chose to spend it with us. And for that, we are totally, totally grateful. So before we hop on and bring in on our guest tonight, I want to thank our sponsors. I want to thank UEBdesigns.com, UEB Designs, where let us accessorize you because accessorizing is my favorite part of the outfit. So UEBdesigns.com, they came out to uh, our Queens United for the Great Awakening event this past Saturday, which was phenomenal. Thank you to all the attendees. We had people coming in from different parts of South Carolina, North Carolina, Georgia, and if there were other states, I'm not sure. But thank y'all for so much for coming. But UEB Designs was one of our vendors here, and we got so many beautiful pieces from them. So UEBdesigns.com is one of our sponsors. Then we had mombizboss.org. Mom Bizboss was one of our speakers. The founder, Teresa, was one of our speakers, and she was set up as a vendor as well. So make sure if you are a woman or an aspiring entrepreneur, that is a lady wants to have your own business. You're a mom. Mom stands for multiple operational managers. You want to join these group of ladies. Mombizboss.org. You want to join them. Leadership Inside Trajectory is a great, great leadership book. Whether you are a leader in any capacity, you want this in your arsenal and on your bookcase. Okay. So you want Leadership Inside Trajectory. And you can get that copy, your copy of that at iworkfaith.com. Again, that is iworkfaith.com. And then finally, if you don't have any of my books, you can go out on Amazon and you can go to my link tree and find any of my books. We have the coloring book, affirmational coloring book. We have the journal, affirmational journal, the children's book that teaches foundational English and Spanish, and we have other ebooks that you can get. Everything that I do empowers, motivates, and inspires you to be the best version of yourself. So I am Aaliyah, your purpose midwife, and thank you again for joining us right here on Fire to Inspire. We are streaming live tonight on Facebook Live, LinkedIn, as well as YouTube. So thank you to all of you all who are coming in through all the different social media channels. Y'all hit that share button because we're going to bring our guest on tonight. And let's bring on Mr. Clearskin himself, Dr. Clearskin. Let's see here. We're bringing him on in.
Hello,
There
how
we
are
go.
you?
Great. How are you this evening?
Oh, I'm wonderful. I'm wonderful. Thank you for having me on today.
Oh, great. Thank you so much for joining us. So tell us, how did you get that title of Dr. Clearskin?
Yeah, it's a crazy story. I've always worked as a man in a practice where I've been essentially the only man among a large group of women. And there's a young woman who was working with me who has quite a winning personality, just a wonderful young woman. In fact, I used to jokingly call her my work daughter. You know, you can have a work wife, and she was my work daughter. And she said to me that one day, you make skin really clear. You're Dr. Clear Skin. And she said it with a smile. And I just really liked that name. And so I kept it, and I went out and I trademarked it. And I now am Dr. Clear Skin. And it's been a lot of fun just playing with that name.
I love it. I love it. You know, sometimes things can be attached to you, and it just kind of that's how my show actually started. I wrote a book that, and I had written the whole book, and then I was like, I need a title. And my cousin thought I was saying on fire to inspire, but I was saying something totally different. I was like, that's it. So I can relate. I can totally relate. So dermatology, how long have you been in dermatology?
Well, I've been practicing approaching 26 years now, and I had 3 years of training before that. So if you include all that, that's 29 years. So it's a very long time.
Wow, wow. What made you go into dermatology versus other capacities?
Well, it's a great question. I started off as a pediatrician.
Okay. Uh-oh, we froze up, Dr. Clear Skin.
Yeah, I practiced in the general clinic. And so at some point I decided that as much as since
Great evening, everybody, as you're joining us. We seem to be freezing a little bit again, Doctor.
Yes, I think I noticed it too. Yes.
Okay.
But I guess we'll work with what we have.
Right. So you started out as a pediatrician. All right. So you chose dermatology, and then you froze as I was kind of asking that question.
Sure. Yes. So I've always been a very visual person. If you ask which sense of mine is the one that's the strongest, I think it's my vision. And so I have a pretty good memory for pictures and things I see. I can see something once or twice and I can remember it for a lifetime. So the most interesting part of medicine, I thought, was the things I saw. And I had an opportunity to spend some time with a dermatologist, and I saw all these interesting things. And what I enjoyed about it is that you never had to guess what was wrong. You can look at it, everyone can look at it and see. Now, you may have to spend some time figuring out what it is, but there's never a debate about what the problem is, as opposed to something like cardiology, where you have to listen and imagine, or if you have tests that you do. But almost everyone has some sense about where the problem is and what the problem is when you're working in dermatology. So I found that very interesting. It is one of the most interesting things I think I've ever done.
So you created your own skincare line for people of color. What made you decide to do specifically for people of color?
So it's a great question. There's lots of skincare lines out there all over the place, and people have developed some really wonderful things. But as a dermatologist, I noticed that there were some things that people experience on a regular basis that needed something beyond your typical products. So for instance, one of the topics that I'm really focused on is taking care of shaving issues in both men and women. So there are a number of things to try for men in particular that can help with shaving, but I thought there was a way to take some of the knowledge I had based in dermatology and create a product line that was closer to something you could get if you were coming to the doctor. So I have a series of products I put together to help with difficult shaving. I have a number of other things that are coming along the way, including some things that people can use if they wax or if they use some other way of removing hair. And so I'm trying to address that topic as well.
Okay. Yes. So in terms of utilizing the skincare product, what's the name of your product line?
All right, here we go. So
okay, he's showing us the thing. Okay. That's true, Brian. Brian says this is very helpful. All
yes.
right.
And so this is a skincare part of the skincare line, but it's a sunscreen. And one of the reasons I'm talking about that is because I think for a lot of this is what I discovered working with a lot of people of color is that I think many of us think about sunscreen a little bit, but we don't think about it as a lot. And frankly, we don't get skin cancer as much as people who have lighter skin. But when we get it, it tends to be more advanced. And it's not easily recognized by many doctors. So the importance of making sure that we protect ourselves against the sun is the reason I came up with that particular product. I want to discuss the importance of being screened for skin cancer. Also discuss the fact that if you protect yourself against the sun, you don't get as many wrinkles and as many signs of aging as quickly as you would if you don't protect yourself from the sun. And so all that I think ties into what I see are some topics that probably need to be addressed a little more in our community about taking care of our skin.
You know, I think the label, so to speak, would be, well, I'm already brown. Why do I need sunscreen? You know, that's what people tend to, that's the myth in our community. you know?
I think you're absolutely right. I hear that often too. And what I remind people is that, particularly if you've ever been anywhere, if you ever traveled to somewhere really warm like the Caribbean. I remember the first time I went to the Caribbean, I decided I was going to put a little sunscreen on, but I said, oh,
Um,
so it reminded me that people can burn regardless of whatever. So
okay. That scales look like we're freezing again. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? So Dr. Scales has created, Dr. Clearskin has created a product line that is for people of color. He says that we are in need of sunscreen to help us slow down aging and to protect our skin. So, what as you froze, I was kind of ad-libbing on what you had
good.
just said.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, because it froze for a second. I said, oh my goodness. If you can see me, it looks like I'm just like a statue, but I am happy that you were able to highlight that. Yes, I think it's important that we talk about it. And probably the biggest thing that makes people pause is, number one, they don't think about it as much. And number two, they don't like the way it looks on their skin. And everyone's so focused on taking pictures of themselves now that if it doesn't look good, then people don't seem to want to put it on. But I tried to come up with something I thought was a good start, certainly something that we could use to help put on our skin, but doesn't make us look too pasty. So
Right.
you certainly want your Instagram and your Facebook pictures to look good. So I tried to come up with something that would be helpful in that regard.
Now, you know, another hot topic that has been pretty out here a lot more is alopecia. Is there treatment for alopecia?
So that's a great question, because the word alopecia in dermatology just means hair loss.
Okay.
You could lose your hair because of trouble with a burn. You could lose your hair from skin diseases. There's just a lot of reasons for people to lose their hair. So I'm always cautious about people that use the word alopecia because I'm not always sure what type they're talking about. Now, of course, this year is the year of alopecia, isn't it? I mean, you have reasons to talk about alopecia with what happened during the Oscars.
Right.
And so I think it's important that a person goes to someone who is comfortable examining the hair and the skin, particularly in people of color, and to have them give you a diagnosis. Knowing why can help explain what to expect in the future and maybe some treatment choices that come up that could be used to help someone. But the word alopecia just means hair loss. It's not a word I would use without trying to be a little more specific.
Okay. Okay. That's good to know. I never knew that. Never knew that.
Sure. I mean, if we had to talk about it, I would say the kind I see most commonly, particularly in women, is the kind we believe to be related to how people style their hair. So if you're a person that's used a lot of heat and a lot of chemicals over your lifetime, it can often lead to irritated skin, which leads to scarring and leads to hair loss. I probably talk about that 5 to 10 times a day while I'm here. It's that common, unfortunately. So that's a whole nother topic we can discuss at some point if you like, but it is the whole discussion about alopecia is a really important one in our community.
Gotcha. What are some of the misconceptions about dermatologists and dermatology?
Well, I think there can be a number of them. Number one is that
You froze on me.
there we go. Yeah, acne is a very important disease, but it's not the only thing we do. We take care of an entire range of things related to the skin. And oftentimes the skin is a window into other things in the body. I've had the opportunity to have made some diagnoses on people that related to things that went on inside the body. I had a young woman, I consider her young, in her 50s, come see me one time, and she ended up having a lump on her skin. And of course, it showed up on the skin first, but once I looked deeper and we took a biopsy or took a piece of the skin, we realized she had breast cancer. But it happened to appear on the skin first. So she was able to go get treatment quickly as a result of having come to see the dermatologist. And you don't typically think of the dermatologist as being someone who
Let's see, doctor. We frozen again. Are you back? All right, so okay, we're back.
All right, we're back. So it's just the idea that maybe we don't always focus on things other than cosmetic things as well. That all we want to do is make people look beautiful. And certainly people want to look beautiful and they come see us for that purpose. And we do take care of people for that purpose, but it's not the only thing we do.
One of the questions that someone just posted, he asked, is skin considered the biggest organ in your body?
Yes, if you went simply by the size and how much it takes up, it's bigger than any other organ in the body. So yes, of course, in my world, skin is the most important organ in the body. But yes, the skin is the largest organ in the body.
All right. Now, if someone was interested in getting into dermatology, what words of encouragement would you give them?
Well, it's a very challenging field to get into. It is very desired by many people, and one of the reasons is that it's got great hours. I mean, I work 8 to 5, 5 days a week, and the average dermatologist only works 4 days a week. And so when you think about how most people work in medicine, it is a great field to go into if you want to have a family and you want to do other things. But what I encourage people to do is to do well in college and get into medical school. And while they're in medical school, they need to seek out people who are happening to be working in the field of dermatology, and perhaps spend some time with them, work in the lab, find some way to distinguish yourself so that when you apply, you will have a good opportunity to get a training spot. There's only a very limited number of training spots by design. The field of dermatology limits the numbers of dermatologists they're going to create every year. And so if you're able to do that and you're able to train, it's a wonderful field, but it requires a long road. And I tell people that if you're going to decide to go into medicine, you can't think of your work life in the same way that an average person does. So when I was in my 20s, I had graduated from college and had done very well. I had some friends that had finished and they went off and got jobs and were traveling around and having a great time and staying up late and partying. And, I'm studying 7 days a week. I'm up during some rotations, 20, 25, 30 hours. And that was necessary. The road to what I wanted to achieve required a lot of sacrifice of my time at a particular time in life when other people may have already started. I have a daughter who's going into medicine.
We froze again.
And as a result of it being a marathon, you have to be prepared to think much further ahead and delay a lot of things that other people may start with. But it's certainly the kind of field that medicine in general, dermatology in particular, it's very rewarding. I really enjoy being a physician. It's been one of the most satisfying things I think I've ever done. I really enjoy helping people and taking care of people. It's worth the investment of time and effort. It's a lot of time, it's a lot of energy, and it's very expensive to be able to go to medical school and to pay the loans off and to do well like that. So it is very much a commitment. And so if, I've heard people say, well, people just go into medicine for money. I say, that's the last thing you should do. You should never go into medicine for money, because it takes so much of your personal time and personal energy in a way that I think many people don't understand. Find something else that pays money. You can go and do something else, and you don't have to spend so much time there. So I would never encourage anyone to go into medicine for money.
That's a great advice, because people get caught up in that aspect, and then they spend all this money and they're like, but I don't even like doing this. So that's some great advice. Thank you for that. Now, so tell us about this product line. How can they get it? Because they need to get this sunscreen to protect their skin and not look so waxy. And so tell us how we can get our hands on these products, and what, before you answer that question, you have some new services that you're offering at your facility. What else? What's going on over there?
Thanks for asking that question. Yes, we do have some new services we're offering. We're primarily a medical dermatology office, meaning we take care of sick people with problems, but certainly we take care of cosmetic related issues. And right now we just introduced a new device into our office, a hair removal laser that I think is going to be very helpful for all skin types. One of the issues that comes up with using some of these new cosmetic procedures for people is that they don't work always in everyone's skin. The melanin that we have that keeps us so healthy and keeps us from burning can also interfere sometimes with the ability to, say, remove scars, or maybe to remove hair. So we've introduced a new device that's helpful for people of color and as well as others, and we're really excited about that. I know it may seem like a relatively small thing, but excessive hair growth, difficulty with scarring that comes as a result of shaving difficulties, be it on the legs or on the face and in the scalp, sometimes are really big issues. They can cause a lot of problems with people. And if you can decrease the amount of hair that someone grows, then you can oftentimes give them a better quality of life. You can make them look better. That's important. You want to make sure you look like you're not growing a beard, or maybe you want to remove some hair on your arms or your legs. That's certainly what it does. And it can be done in all skin types. Secondly, we have this second device that we just got as well from the same company called the Morpheus 8. And Kim Kardashian, some of the Kardashians have been talking about it. You may see it in the news. And it's a tremendous device where you can place a little wand on someone's skin, and it pierces the skin with tiny little needles and puts a little bit of energy down there. It's good for melting away fat. It's good for tightening the skin. It's good for scarring. It can help get rid of stretch marks and scars. And it does a lot of things. And there's some other medical indications we're going to use it for as well. So we've invested in trying to help people to look more beautiful, look more youthful. I just had treatment done last week. I don't think I look any youthful yet, but I think after I'm done, I think I will. And we're also focusing on helping people with skin diseases, acne scarring, difficult conditions like hyperhidrosis and hidradenitis suppurativa, which is a scarring condition.
Well, you have beautiful skin, so I don't know what the treatment was supposed to do, but you have beautiful skin nonetheless.
Thank you.
Your Morpheus thing you just talked about, that's going to have you all have people hanging out the door. You're talking about it helped with stretch marks and skin tightening and fat. Yeah, get ready for those lines to. Oh my
I
goodness.
missed you there for a second. You froze, but you're saying that Morpheus is going to cause a lot of
It's
people
going
to
to
go,
cause our
I think
lines,
so. I mean, I
the
think
phone
some of these,
lines and
yeah,
everything else
fine
to just,
lines and wrinkles and,
yeah.
bags under the eyes and discoloration. I think it's going to be, there are going to be some people that want it. And
Well,
so
I'm
we're
I'm
going to,
telling you, there are going to be so many people that want it. You all going to have a backlog and a waiting list.
well, there are worse problems to have. There are worse problems. It's been, the whole office has been very excited about this. We used one of the devices on some of the staff members today, and that was the hair removal device. And boy, you would have thought it was Christmas time here. People were so happy. They just thought it was great. They're getting their hair removed on their faces and on their arms and underarms. They just thought it was great. So, one of the benefits of working in an office like this is that you can have some procedures done. You can get some things tried that maybe you wouldn't normally get to try.
I have a question that someone just posted.
Mm-hmm.
And he's asking, what about keloids?
It's a great question. I think in all my years of being in dermatology, one of the things I wanted to see address most.
He'll be back in just a second, y'all.
Sure. Okay. So, keloids are scars that don't know when to stop growing. So if you cut your skin, you're supposed to fill it in. I always think of it like a pothole. You have a pothole and you want to put enough stuff in it so that it will, it'll fill it in. It won't be so bumpy, and you can drive over it smoothly. And that's what a scarring is with the skin. It's supposed to fill in a spot. But what we find is that these scars don't know when to stop. So it'll fill it in and it'll just get bigger and bigger. I think all of us have seen people with these things behind their ears that have come as a result of having piercings and in other areas as well. And those are keloids. So this new device that we have has the ability to help with scarring, and we're determining now whether it's going to be effective for keloids as well. I'm crossing my fingers. If it can do some of the things that they claim it can do, and it can help keloids, I'm going to be ecstatic. I'm going to be over the moon. It's just something that if we can make life better for people with those problems, I think it would be just great. These things sometimes can be very problematic with how they look, but they can also be problematic in how they feel. Sometimes they itch, sometimes they hurt. So again, this device is going to deliver this energy under the skin. And if it works as I think it can, it could be a very important tool that we use to treat keloids.
That's amazing. That is absolutely amazing. I have another question from the same young man. He said, where are you located?
I'm in Durham, North Carolina, and we are on the southwest side of the city. So if you happen to be in North Carolina and you'd like to come and visit us, we would love that. We have people that come see us from other states sometimes, and certainly people in the local area. And so I am happy to see anyone. We have some people that come visit us. In an unfortunate way, one of the things I'll say is that there are not a lot of people of color in the field of dermatology. We make up 2% or less than the general population of dermatologists. And I think that it would be a good thing if we can diversify the doctor population a bit. And so there have been discussions about that. I hope that that comes to be true. We'll have to see, like so many other things we hope for. And we'll see if more and more people can come in. There's a need to serve certain types of communities. You'll find that dermatology is one of the fields that is absent from a lot of communities of color. And I did talk about cosmetic things and making people look better. I think that's an important thing. But there are some real medical needs for people that are necessary. I take care of a lot of poor children, a lot of people who are uninsured, things of that nature, people who really have severe itching, all sorts of conditions that really affect their lives. And I'm hoping that we can deliver some of these services to people who really need them in communities that just don't get served as well as they should be. That was one of my driving reasons for going into dermatology. Is I feel like it's I sort of call it, there's a show on CBS called The Equalizer. Well, I sort of think of being in dermatology as a person of color and bringing some of these services to our community as being a way of equalizing some of the disparities that we see throughout society.
I love that. You, Dr. Cliff Skin, the skin equalizer. I love it. I love it. So now,
Girl, that I'm going to tell my wife. She'll probably laugh me right out the room, but I that was like
what's the name of your clinic? Because he asked where you're located. What's the name of your clinic? And we can give him distinct information.
Sure. So it's called the North Carolina Center for Dermatology, and that's in Durham, North Carolina.
Okay. Mm-hmm. All right, Mr. Brian. So I hope you got that. He's in Durham. And Latanya says, I use Dr. Cliff Skin sunscreen and it is great.
Yeah. Good. I did send some to her. I'm glad she likes it.
Good. Now tell me, how can we get our hands on some of the sunscreen and the wax removal and all of these great Dr. Cliff Skin products? How can we put our hands on?
Sure. So my website for the products is getdrclearskin.com. So you can go online and you can find that. And we have a host of things, and we're going to be expanding our line soon. And, we've been very happy with how things have gone so far.
I have another question that just popped up.
Sure.
She said, this question says, what is your best advice for just cleaning the skin?
Sure. I think that's a good question. One of the things that's happened is that we're bombarded with so much information and so many things, and people often will complicate relatively simple things. Cleaning the skin is an issue of removing dirt and oil that build up over the course, and bacteria and fungus that builds up over the course of a day. And it is important to do that on a regular basis. You should choose a gentle cleanser. It does not have to be expensive. It does not have to be something that is promising to cure all ills. It just needs to be something basic. So we have some wonderful things in our product line, which you can see on our website, including some good cleansers. If you're going to go to the drugstore and you like to pick up something there's some wonderful brands like Cetaphil and CeraVe, things that have proven to be helpful. And the most important thing, as I say about cleansers, is that people should clean the skin regularly. And then you don't want the cleanser to be something that leaves a lot of residue. You don't want it to make the skin unusually acidic or unusually basic. You want it to leave the skin at a nice neutral pH, which is the description I mentioned. And you want it to be something you could use regularly without it stripping a lot of oils from your skin. So those products and those product lines, Aveeno, Cetaphil, CeraVe, brands like that are very helpful. Okay.
Next question. They're coming with the questions, Doctor.
Sure.
Is your sunscreen waterproof?
Yes. There's no such thing as a truly waterproof sunscreen, but yes, it's water resistant. And what I tell people is that you're supposed to reapply sunscreen every 2 hours. Now, I know that's a big, tall order. If you get out there, you're having a great time, you're splashing around in the water. I'm not looking at my watch during that time. Typically, I don't have my watch with me, or my phone. I put my phone down because I'm so busy having a good time. But all things have to be reapplied every 2 hours. But if you were to put this on, the sunscreen I have, and put it on and jump in the water, and you look at it after 2 hours, it would still be there. So I think it's a good water-resistant sunscreen. Yes.
Okay. Next question is asking, do you recommend one of those rotating brushes on the face?
I think it's not an unreasonable thing to use. In some ways, what the brush is trying to do is just remove the top layers of skin in a way that you might do if you were using your hands or if you were using a washcloth. I find that sometimes if you have something like that, people will overdo it. So it's almost like they're buffing the car. They take and they put on, and they leave it on way too long, and they irritate their skin and burn themselves. If you did it lightly every other day or so, I think it's very reasonable. It needs to be something that that's not rough to the skin, that won't cause bruising or cuts in the skin. So yes, I think that's a very reasonable thing to use. As long as you use it gently.
Gently and not too often. Okay.
Yes.
They're saying thank you so much for those answers to their questions. They're saying great information, good information. Thank you, thank you. So wow, they're in. I love the involvement because that means they're listening. And guys, if y'all want to go visit his practice there, the North Carolina Center for Dermatology in Durham, North Carolina. So if y'all want to take a road trip, let's do it. Look, that fat thing, how many applications we need to do for the
You're welcome to contact us. If you go on our social media channel, we've got Instagram and Facebook, Dr. Clearskin or the North Carolina Center for Dermatology. You can look at some pictures. It's not something that's easy to find. It's in certain communities, it's not everywhere. We're one of the fortunate few here in this area to have it. I think it's particularly good, as I said, for people of color because it doesn't require surgery. It's not something you have to inject into the skin and leave there. It's just a little bit of energy that goes in there and it dissipates. So it has the ability, some people jokingly call it, a substitute for a facelift or for some of these anti-aging techniques that people use that require you to have things injected or have things cut out. You can do that you can achieve some of the same goals without having to do those things.
Okay. They're asking what's the website again? It's getdrclearskin.com.
That's one. And then the practice website is nccdermatology.com.
Okay.
nccdermatology.com and getdrclearskin.com.
All right. Okay. Now, what final words would you leave for someone who is they're in need of dermatology, they're too far to come to you? What would you have them look for in a dermatologist to treat an issue that they may be having? What would you have them look for?
I think it's important that you try to find people who are open to taking new patients. That's number one, taking you as a patient. And number two, who seem to have a familiarity with a wide range of skin types and a wide range of services that they provide. There are some people who focus entirely on cosmetics. And it's probably not the person you want to start with if you have a skin disease problem. If you have a cosmetic problem, that's a great person to start with. I would look at the website. I would ask them if they have a diverse population. Many times these practices are located in certain communities, and so it may not necessarily be a diverse population because there aren't that many diverse people in the community. But I would ask those questions. Are you used to working with a wide range of skin types? And do you manage medical conditions the most, or are you primarily interested in cosmetics? That would be the questions I would ask.
I have one more question.
Sure. Got all evening.
They asked, do you have any advice on foods to eat for helping have, good skincare?
Sure. So if you get a chance to follow me on social media, I do talk a little bit about that. It's important that I think all of us realize that the skin oftentimes is a reflection of your health. If you're unhealthy for other reasons, you are not going to be healthy in the appearance of your skin. So it's hard to have great looking skin and poor health. So I think it's important that people eat healthy, good, basic foods, not a lot of processed foods. Processed things tend to cause a little more trouble. Fruits and vegetables, which can include all sorts of antioxidants and healthy things that keep you strong. I'm very big on fruits and vegetables. I don't consider myself a vegetarian, but I eat mostly vegetables. Get reasonable produce. It does not have to be organic. If you bought it from the farmer, that's even better. Get it straight from the farmer, so it doesn't have a chance to sit around as much. Some people say eat the rainbow. I think that's important. Eat a wide range of different vegetables of all sorts of colors, purple and green and red and yellow, particularly green. Focus on eating things that have good ingredients in them that can make you healthy. The healthier you are, the better your skin is going to look. And I love potatoes, one of my favorites. Some people say, well, I eat a lot of vegetables. The only thing to eat are potatoes. So that's a starch. It's not a bad vegetable, but it shouldn't be the main vegetable that you eat on a regular basis.
Okay. All right. So we got eat plenty of fruits and vegetables, which I love. A wide variety of colors and potatoes. Yes. Now, what about sweet potatoes? Are those good for your skin too?
Sure, they have some wonderful fiber in them. They are some of the things that people will eat at times when they are trying to control their blood sugar, for instance. You'll find that some of the vegetables that you get in nature, of course, where else would you get them, are things that are not excessively sweet. They don't shoot your blood sugar up really fast. They don't cause rapid changes and all sorts of things like that. They tend to be filled with lots of antioxidants like sweet potatoes are, and lots of fiber. Fiber is good to keep your system clean, and I think that's a great choice. I love sweet potatoes. It's one of my favorite vegetables to eat.
Okay. Let's see. I don't see any more colors, any more questions to ask. Any final words that you want to leave the listeners and those who will be listening to the replay?
Sure. I would have them to consider, if they're interested in trying to get some good skincare tips and to learn some new information, I think it'd be great if they follow me on Facebook or Instagram, and we try to provide all sorts of information, more details about some of the things I discussed today. I think it's important to realize your skin is important. You want to keep it healthy. You want to take care of your health in general. You don't want to smoke or use drugs. Things like that really affect your health in general and can affect how you look. So focus on being as healthy a person as you can be. Doesn't mean you have to be radical and over the top, but eat good fruits and vegetables and nuts, exercise, move, get outside. It's one of the other things I talk about. We talk a bit about protecting yourself from the sun, but it's important to be in the sun. It's important to get out and get some vitamin D. I notice people just don't get out much. Regardless of the weather, people just are not outside much. We spend most of our time indoors. But the great outdoors was made for a reason. God made the great outdoors for a reason. So get out and get some fresh air, get some sun. Don't overdo it. And it'll help your mind and help your skin.
Absolutely love it. So tell them one more time how they can follow you, how they can get your product, and we're good.
Sure. So you can see us at our website. It's nccdermatology.com, or the other one is getdrclearskin.com. Those are the websites. There's Facebook and Instagram, Dr. Clearskin, and the North Carolina Center for Dermatology. We're always posting things. We're very diverse on there. You look, people of all different shades and backgrounds on there. We post tips. We have some videos that show some of those cosmetic procedures. In fact, I'll be sending some soon of me having some of them, as well as my staff. I think it's kind of funny and exciting. And you can follow us and pick up some good tips. I think it's a good way of just staying on top of some of the latest trends and some important tips, particularly around certain seasons.
All right. Well, Dr. Clearskin, we want to thank you so much for joining us tonight and answering everybody's questions. They were definitely involved in asking questions. And guys, y'all, thank you so much for tuning in and being involved, because it's telling us that you're interested, you're listening, and hey, preferably you will all be able to follow him and get more great tips as well as purchasing some of the products. So congratulations on your new line. And thank you so much for all that you're doing for the people of color in Durham, North Carolina and surrounding area.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you having me on.
You're welcome. Well, you have a great one, and hopefully we'll see you back another time with some more great tips and information.
Sure, have me back. I'd love to talk more.
All right. You have a blessed one now. Thanks again.
All right. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. So you guys, Dr. Clearskin has given us some great information tonight. We want to make sure that we take the time to, and y'all bear with me, and we take the time to go and look at some of these things. What are you putting into your body? He said that your skin is showing what you're putting into it, so it's actually indicative of what you're putting on the inside of it. So it's telling whether you're healthy or not. What are you putting in your skin? So we will be back same time, same place next week at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I am Leah, your purpose midwife. I see you back then. Y'all have a blessed week.